Boy Carter, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to get the message out to all the people.
What are your top 2 qualifications for this position?
Well, I retired in January of this year after 40 years of coaching football and in the public education field, and felt that I wanted to serve the students in a different capacity, and I think that is one of my great qualifications. I am a native of the mountains of western North Carolina, have lived my entire life here and understand the struggles of the people, and want to serve them to give honest and true representation back to the people in the 5th District.
The economy, North Carolina has fared fairly well, but still a lot of people are concerned about gas prices, food prices, and housing issues. What would your policies be regarding the economy and this downturn?
Well, definitely our economy has taken a tremendous downturn, and our economy is intertwined with so many difficult questions, and the 5th District likewise is so diverse, going from the very rural communities to the Winston-Salem area. I think one thing that will boost our economy more than anything else is if we can quit spending $400 million a day in Iraq, and that's probably another question, but quit spending that tremendous. Our economy cannot afford to spend that kind of money for the next 50 or 100 or years or whatever some of the pundits are saying. We must rebuild our economy. We cannot do that and spend $400 million a day.
We'll talk more about Iraq in a second, but first on the economy, thousands of jobs going overseas, lots of them from western North Carolina. What do you say to your constituents if elected? We
must renegotiate our NAFTA agreements. We've lost a bulk of furniture jobs, our furniture manufacturing. I live close to the small town of West Jefferson. Our furniture jobs are all gone. Our knitting jobs, our hosiery mills in West Jefferson, in Surrey County, are leaving. We've got to renegotiate our NAFTA agreements, and to bring some of those jobs back, we must start looking at bringing some green jobs back, which is twofold: to help our economy and to help our environment both.
Now, you addressed the cost of the war, but there's also the cost in terms of lives. Over 4,000 dead, many of them from North Carolina. And now the president recently just announced that he wants to halt withdrawing of troops. What are your opinions about the war?
Well, from the first start of the war, I've been opposed to it. As a teacher, I spoke to my students about I felt like we were going into a needless war that was going to cost us dearly. Just this week, we have had the deadliest week of the year with 19 young people dying. I've looked across the desk at my students and wondered which one of them would have to go to war. We must find a safe, decent, quick, responsible way to get out of Iraq and restore our good name all over the world, which right now we've tarnished it by getting into a war that we have no real idea how to get out of.
Let me ask you about possible future conflicts, because there's so much talk about Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. How would you assess whether we should go into war with another country?
Well, I think there's 7 or 8 reasons why you go into war. And I think we definitely went into this one without meeting the criteria of war. We went into this war because of something that a big story that was spun to us, and it was all about 9/11, but it really wasn't about 9/11. And so we were sold a bill of goods. There was no weapons of mass destruction. That has been proven false. So I think we have to look at what the imminent danger to our nation is, and we have to assess that fairly, and we cannot jump into another conflict without a fair and a long assessment, not just cowboy diplomacy. I don't think that has worked. I don't think it will ever work.
Healthcare, it's another big issue on voters' minds. What do you think is the role of the federal government in providing health care?
I think it's a shame, and I think the federal government has a moral obligation that every American have health insurance. I have a personal story that we probably don't have time to get into. I had a brother pass away. We didn't have health insurance when I was 10 years old. He was almost 17. It destroyed our family. American families shouldn't have to go through that. And I've made the vow that I will not accept congressional insurance until every child, every adult in America has an opportunity to have affordable health care, and actually has affordable health care.
Education, you touched upon this a little bit earlier. I know this is a topic near and dear to your heart, but recent international tests have shown that students in North Carolina and the United States are scoring below their peers in math and science tests. And a lot of policymakers say that our students are not ready to work in a global economy. What do you think is the future of education?
Well, I think one thing that's really damaged our education is No Child Left Behind. I think in the 40 years I've been in education, that's been the cruelest thing that's come about. I think we've lost our vision about education, and it's proven that our dropout rate is going up, and I think that is definitely attributed to the test mentality we have. I think we need to refocus and use our funds more wisely to reduce the class size and to educate every child, not just the child at the top of the intellectual level, but keep those kids in school at the lower level with some real productive ways, and offer a very good and meaningful education to those children in the vocational field.
Illegal immigration, arguments for and against, whether they're good for the economy or not, they are both even. But still, people around North Carolina want the federal government to take action, and they haven't. What do you think that action should be?
Well, I think it's the federal government's problem. It didn't happen overnight, and it's got real popular this year, and it's probably the toughest issue of this campaign. But the truth of the matter is, our federal government has allowed this to happen down through the years, and there's not a quick fix. But the first thing we must do, we must secure our borders. We must come up with some real moral and sensible ways of handling it. Shipping 12 million people back, deporting them out of our nation without secure borders is not the answer. There's some real difficult choices going to have to be made about how we go about identifying the people that's in this nation. I think we need to know, but also we can't destroy our workforce, and that would destroy our economy in itself. So there is a balance that we have to find. And when I get in Congress, I'm going to work across the aisle with people and try to find that balance and try to move this forward, because it's something that has to be done, and everybody's pointing the finger right now.
If elected, how would you make sure that your constituents in the western part of North Carolina are heard in Washington, that their issues resonate, and that the other lawmakers hear their issues?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. I think I can, excuse me, I can offer great constituent services without spending $318,000 a year in wonderful color mailings that Virginia Fox does. I think I can add constituent services by adding a couple staff people, or using a couple staff people, to get to every county in my 12-county district at least one time a week, and let the people know that they have a staff person and direct contact to me. I think that is the key. The key of a congressperson, the greatest thing they can do, I think, is in the field of constituent services.
Roy Carter, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.